as I start talking, then you can't. And I'll be talking in just a second. Drink a little of my chai tea. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We're going to be on for the next hour with Commissioner Trantelis, and he is here to answer your questions. So we hope you'll join us. We hope you'll join us to ask questions. If you do have a question of the Commissioner, by all means, press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. As you heard from the introductory message that you got on the phone, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We're here for the next hour. We really want you to ask the Commissioner questions. If you do have a question of the Commissioner, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. I'm going to be on for this the next couple of minutes, then I'll be handing off to the Commissioner in just a minute. We want more people the opportunity to press 0 so we can get some questions lined up and asked. The second thing is, if you want to provide us your email address so we can give you email updates, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone. That's when you get the electronic newsletter that we have. We hope you'll want to do that and press 7 on the keypad on your phone. So again, it's 0 for questions and 7 for email updates. Let me go one more round with this while we wait for another couple hundred people to get on the line. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to be on for the next hour. The Commissioner will be on with us in about 60 seconds. If you have a question of the Commissioner, by all means, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us your email updates, get our electronic newsletter, please press 7 so we can get your email address. So 0 for questions, 7 for email updates. Commissioner, take it away if you would, please.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dean Trantelis, District 2 Commissioner for our city of Fort Lauderdale. This is my second telephone town hall meeting, and I'm looking forward to another opportunity to talk to you and to answer your questions. However, before we get started, I'd like to share some brief updates on some things we've been doing, some current initiatives and upcoming events in the city. First of all, many of you know that upcoming this Memorial Day, we have the Great American Beach Party, and we hope we can see all of you there on Saturday afternoon. It'll be a great event for families and people from all over the area who want to participate in recognizing some notable individuals that have been very much a part of our history and who have made Fort Lauderdale what it is today. And we just hope it's a great time for everybody. But why don't we just talk about some of the things that have been going on in the city in the past. As many of you know, I've now served approximately a year, and it's been a great year for Fort Lauderdale and a great year for myself. And hopefully we can continue to work together in the years ahead as we try to fulfill many of the initiatives that we've started, and just like to talk a little bit about what we've begun and hopefully where we can take things in the next year or so. As you may remember, the City Commission unanimously adopted a community vision plan, and we did this about a year ago, which basically staff gave us a comprehensive update on the status of the vision plan initiatives at a recent Commission conference meeting. Here are a few of the highlights of the progress that have been made toward fulfilling one of the vision's top priorities, which is to become a connected city where people can move seamlessly and easily. For example, we adopted a complete streets policy to ensure future development, including design elements that enhance connectivity, promote pedestrian safety, and encourage alternative modes of transportation. In that regard, for those of you who don't get the newsletter we send out every month, I want to let everyone know that on the 13th Street, we've been able to secure through the county a $1.5 million grant in which we are going to redesign the area between the railroad tracks and Northeast 4th Avenue according to this complete street concept. It's very exciting. Hopefully it will ignite new interest in investment and development on that street, and hopefully we can energize an area that has long since been dormant within our district. We completed a walkability study, and we are in the process of implementing $500,000 worth of improvements in the downtown area to enhance crosswalks and make it easier and safer for pedestrians to get around. But in addition to that, we also secured funding through the Metropolitan Planning Organization to redesign Dixie Highway on the north side from the boundary with Wilton Manors all the way down to 13th Street. That will include greater pedestrian safety, crosswalks, bike lanes, and it will hopefully turn Dixie Highway away from being a total highway into more of a residential street. We were awarded a $1.2 million grant to expand the service for the Sun Trolley, which will make it more convenient and help our neighbors reduce their reliance on personal vehicles. A lot of that will take place within our Flagler Village area. As many of you know, you've seen a tremendous amount of private investment in Flagler Village, and we're hoping that these city initiatives will assist in the overall quality of life that we hope to provide for the people that we're trying to attract to move into that area. We've also received funding for Phase 1 of the Wave Streetcar project, which will create a 1.4-mile loop from the central bus terminal on Broward Boulevard to the Broward County Courthouse. We've also received word that an additional $50 million in federal funding will be there to fund Phase 2, which will take the streetcar all the way down to the 17th Street Causeway. So we've got a lot of good things going on, and we have a lot of important things that are going to make our city a first-class city, and hopefully this year an all-American city. So without going into great detail about all the other things that we've done, I'd like to hear from you if you have any questions, and let's talk about some of the things that have been going on recently in our city. And so I'm ready for my first caller.
And before we get to our first caller, this is Kurt, by the way, the moderator. You've probably heard me before. Anyway, if you have a question of the Commissioner, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want the electronic newsletter the city provides, please press 7. 7 on the keypad on your phone so we can get your email address. So 7 for emails, 0 for questions, and now you're for the first announcement of the night. To help the city of Fort Lauderdale keep its neighborhoods bright and beautiful by reporting streetlight outages, simply call the city's 24-hour customer service center at 954-828-8000. To report any street lights out in your area, please have the address, intersection, or light pole number available. Again, that 24-hour customer service number is 954-828-8000. And that is that. Before we do our first polling question, we're going to actually take George. George, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. George, what part of the city are you from, and what's your question, please?
I live in the southeast section of Fort Lauderdale, and my question relates to, as we know, there is talk of rising levels of sea level, and there's storms occurring with water events, and in many parts of the city, including mine, there is stormwater runoff that goes to catch basin systems that go out to waterways. And I was wondering what the planning was for the status of planning and then the eventual capital expense to install check valves, which are essentially valves that do not allow water from the waterways to back up into the catch basin system and thus flood the city streets is. And so I was wondering, is it just something the city is thinking about or wants to do and has particular timeline and capital commitment to over a certain number of years? So,
Commissioner.
Yes, good question. I think that the question, I know you live outside the district, but it certainly affects people throughout the eastern part of the city, and you'll be happy to know that the city has already begun creating a stormwater master plan, which hopefully will establish a holistic perspective on how we can better determine the priorities and the critical issues of implementing a preventative measures on a more comprehensive scale. So what does that actually mean? That means we are going street by street and trying to determine which streets, first of all, are most needy, those that flood the quickest and the worst, and we are putting together a plan to install the valve system that you've mentioned, because clearly the stormwater as well as the rising level of seawater is impacting us in a very negative way. It's affecting our ability to it's affecting our quality of life, our ability to navigate on the streets during bad storms, and it's starting to really negatively affect our neighborhoods to the east. The valve system is part of phase one of the work that we are hoping to implement in the next 12 to 24 months, and we've actually applied for a grant with the state legislature to provide us with $700,000 worth of funding to implement this program. It's now waiting for the governor to approve part of an overall spending packages that have been presented to the governor, and we're hoping that he doesn't veto it. If he vetoes it, then we have to find another funding source. But the plans are already on the table, and we're hoping that we'll be able to get the money through the state initially. That will certainly push it faster and be able to provide the service to our community.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're going to do our first survey question of the night. How often do you attend events in public places such as city parks, on the Riverwalk, or at the beach? Press 1 if you attend public events at least once a month. Press 2 if you attend public events a few times a year. Press 3 if you attend one public event a year, or press 4 you do not attend public events at all. We appreciate your participation. Before we take our next question, another announcement. We have a lot tonight. Sign up to follow Fort Lauderdale on Twitter. It's the best way to get the latest news, traffic advisories, emergency announcements, and general information on city services, events, and more. The city handle is at FTL City News. That's at FTL City News. You can sign up directly from the homepage at the city's website at fortlauderdale.gov. Simply click on the follow button on the top of the Twitter feed. Al is next. Al, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Al, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
Hi, I'm from just off the New River in southwest Fort Lauderdale, and I hear neighbors talking increasingly concerned about an increase in train traffic allegedly coming over the New River. I'm concerned about what that might do to property values and other economic impact in Fort Lauderdale.
Good question. It's not allegedly. We seem to be moving fast forward in an effort by the FECI company, which is attempting to put together what's called the All Aboard Florida train system. What is All Aboard Florida? Well, it's a new passenger rail service which is going to be added to the existing tracks, which will add 16 trains in each direction each day for passenger rail service from Miami to Orlando. It's going to be a high-speed train service, and which means there'll be 32 trains passing over the bridge that you speak of, the downtown bridge over the New River. And so that has raised a lot of questions. For example, how long does it take a train to pass over the bridge, and how long will the bridge be down to prevent boat traffic from going up and down the river? These are important questions to our community because we certainly rely upon the marine industry to maintain the economic vitality of our city. So this has been a question which has been aggressively embraced, and we are going to try to come up with answers to minimize the impact on the marine industry. I don't see it hurting the property values upriver because it seems that the measures that the FECI is looking to implement are going to actually help the process. We'll probably see the bridge down even fewer times during the course of the day. For example, they're going to station a bridge tender right at the bridge. Right now, the bridge tender is up in Jacksonville. So oftentimes the bridge comes down and stays down, and it's really an annoyance. So all these types of things are being looked at, and hopefully we'll be able to coexist. We are a growing city. We are a city of the future. We need to bring these services to our area, and I don't think that we need to look at it negatively, because I think it'll be positive for the quality of life and the ability to function as a big city in the century as it moves forward.
I wanted to remind people, if they wanted the electronic newsletter, please press 7 on the keypad on your phone. If you'd like electronic updates, we need your email address. We have an operator standing by for that. Our second survey question of the night goes like this: more than events of varying types and sizes are held in Fort Lauderdale each year. Press 1 if you feel that there are too many public events in the city. Press 2 if public events is just right. Press 3 if you feel that there are not enough public events in the city. We appreciate your participation. Another public service announcement goes like this: what can you do to enhance Fort Lauderdale? As we strive to build community and improvement quality of life for our neighbors, we want to know how we can make a difference. Visit the city's interactive website at webuildcommunityftl.com. Again, that's webuildcommunityftl.com. webuildcommunityftl.com to share your ideas to improve Fort Lauderdale. On the site, you can post feedback on the city's initiatives and services, vote on ideas you like, and interact with your neighbors. We appreciate your participation on that. We are next going to take Pam. Pam, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Pam, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
Hi, I am from Victoria Park, and my question is, are there any plans for the owners or the city, whoever is responsible, to fix the broken down elevated sidewalks that are like throughout Victoria Park?
Hi, Pam. Many of our neighborhoods have sidewalks, and many of them are in disrepair. And there are some neighborhoods that have no sidewalks on their streets. The city recently completed a sidewalk survey in which we went street by street and mapped out which parts of the city have sidewalks and which ones are in most need of attention. As it happens, city policy is that the person who owns the property adjacent to the sidewalk is financially responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the sidewalk. So it's not a city issue. The city will certainly have to provide the permit if a person wants to put a sidewalk in, and they certainly have to review any plans. But it behooves the neighbor, the property owner, to try to improve the area in front of their home. It's not something that the city could financially fulfill if it had to go street by street and put a sidewalk in front of every house, or repair a sidewalk in an existing sidewalk in front of every house. And so we have established a policy years ago, in fact, which places that burden on the individual property owner.
Let's do another survey question. How do you feel about the impact of events in the city? There's 3 possibilities, and here goes. Press 1 if you feel that they cause significant transportation or parking issues. Press 2 on the keypad on your phone if you feel they cause moderate transportation or parking issues. Press 3 if you feel they cause little or no transportation or parking issues. We really appreciate your participation on that. Another public service announcement, and then a question coming up from Susan. The City of Fort Lauderdale is offering residents a convenient and responsible way to dispose of hazardous waste, electronics, and unwanted medications at a free drop-off event on Saturday, June 7th. The event will take place from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Mills Pond Park, which is located at 2201 Northwest 9th Avenue. The city will offer free document shredding on site. Please bring proof of the residency, such as a driver's license or a recent utility bill, to drop off items at this event. As promised, Susan's next. Susan, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Susan, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
I live in Rio Vista, and my family's been here since 1925. I'm quite disturbed over the development along Federal Highway just north of Broward Boulevard and the density that it was built right up against US 1 with no green setbacks. I don't think it enhances the appearance of our city. I think it detracts from it. And I want to know how traffic is going to be handled from those units onto US 1.
Those are very good questions, and we have changed Fort Lauderdale. as you can see, we are no longer the sleepy town of the East Coast. We have become an urban center. And in the early part of the last decade, the City Commission passed a master plan which called for the redevelopment of the area that you're speaking of, which is called Flagler Village, and to some extent on the other side of the street, where you'll see an increase in amount of commercial development along the edge of Victoria Park. And yes, it has changed, and the building is close to the street, but I think we should wait before we pass judgment on the amount of green space, because they don't put the trees and the grass in until the building's finished. So the plans call for a significant amount of landscaping, and that hopefully that pattern will continue throughout all the development that we're going to see along US 1 in the next 10 years. There's a lot of redevelopment that's going on, and some of it's good and some of it's not as good, but this is the new Fort Lauderdale, and fortunately where you live in Rio Vista, you won't be subject to that kind of redevelopment because you're already an established community, and I think you could feel pretty comfortable in knowing that what you have there now will be there pretty much in the far future. But in the area that we've considered the downtown, everything between Broward and Sunrise, that new area, Flagler Village, was long designated an area for urban renewal and urban development. And the master plan called for this precise type of development, and it's now being fulfilled. Hopefully we can modify some of the designs here and there to create open space and gathering places and sidewalk activity. It probably won't take place on US 1. It'll more than likely take place within the development themselves. You don't want to have sidewalk dining on US 1, but you would like it on the side streets. So as you pass through the area, you'll probably see a lot more interest in what goes on in that area and less likely to see it on US 1. Now, on the east side of US 1, developers are planning a very, very creative and I would think attractive series of commercial enterprises. Tonight, I helped to participate in the ribbon cutting of a new Brazilian restaurant called Giraffes, and it's right next to the Fresh Market. It's one of many new businesses that are opening up along there. And I think, we're becoming a young, vibrant community once again, and this is what we're trying to attract: young, vibrant, energetic, a place where we can have fun, but at the same time make sure it's attractive and green. So we're working together on that, and hopefully you'll see the changes that turn out just how you like them.
One last call for questions and email addresses. If you'd like to ask a question tonight, it's not too late. Press 0 on the keypad on your phone. We have some operators standing by. If you'd like the electronic newsletter the city offers, please press 7 on the keypad on your phone so we can get your email address. We're going to do another survey question. It goes like this: which the following is the most important benefit of public events? 5 possibilities. Here goes. Press 1 if it's economic development for local businesses. Press 2 if it's building community for residences. Press 3, creating attractions for visitors. Press 4, all of the above. Press 5, none of the above. And let's go again with the possibilities. Economic development for local businesses is 1. Building community for residents is 2. Creating attractions for visitors is 3. All the above is 4. None of the above is 5. And while you're voting away, we are going to take another question if we can. It is going to be from Steve. Steve, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Steve, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from the northeast neighborhood in Birch Park Beach. And first of all, I just wanted to say I agree with the previous speaker's point that these buildings, not just on Federal, but on Sunrise, where it bends over to Federal, all these new condos that are going up are way too close to the street. And even though I don't live in that neighborhood, I drive through those areas, and I find it looks very unattractive to have these large buildings built right up against the sidewalk. It just is not an attractive thing, and I would be totally against developers building like that anymore in the future, because it doesn't do anything to add to the aesthetic looks of our city. But that's not what I called in for. I called in on another aesthetic issue, and that is that we're soon going to be starting on A1A, on the rebuilding of A1A between Sunrise and Northeast 18th Street. And in driving up and down A1A a lot, I noticed that, especially even south of Sunrise, there's so much signage that from an aesthetic standpoint, our beach is starting to look really ugly. I mean, it's just one sign after another. Now they've added all these crosswalk signs that are these bright yellow signs, and they have a sign that there's a crosswalk coming up, then they have another sign at the crosswalk. If you look down A1A...
Steve, you've been on a long time. What's your question, please?
Is what can we do in order to improve the look of A1A, especially as we're going into redeveloping the north end of A1A?
Commissioner?
Okay, Steve, I agree with you. I think sign pollution is probably amongst the worst forms of pollution. And, you know, but the thing is, some of the signage that you talk about, you know, I don't want to take away signage that's going to protect pedestrians. You know, if we have narrow streets and fast cars, that's just a recipe for disaster. And any opportunity that we have to save the life or injury of an individual trying to cross A1A, I think the city needs to be very responsible and make sure there's sufficient visible signage for people who travel in cars to be aware of those trying to cross the streets. But overall, I agree with you as far as signage is concerned. I think it takes away from the overall beachside aesthetic, and I would like to think that we might consider ways to reduce signage and still make sure we have wayfinding signs so that visitors know where they're going and not get lost. But if we can make them smaller, more attractive, maybe fewer in number, I think you're right. The section that you're speaking of north of Sunrise, in the area where we are rebuilding, I don't see a lot of reasons for signs there, but certainly keep in mind this is not a city project. This is a state project. We don't have much control over this area because it's a state road, and we do our best to work with the State Department of Transportation to ensure that they conform with the expectations of our community. So let's see what we can do to make things better in the future, and I agree with you.
Well, thank you, sir. We are going to do another survey question. It goes like this: which of the following groups do you feel should host public events in the city? There's three possibilities. Please listen to all of them first before you vote. Press 1 if select for profit promoters and businesses. Again, that's press 1 for select for-profit promoters and businesses. Press 2 for select not-for-profit organizations, such as church groups. Press 3, all of the above. Go ahead and vote away if you would. Those are your three possibilities. We appreciate your participation. Let's see. We're going to do another public service announcement, and then we're going to take questions. The next public service announcement goes like this: sign up to receive Fort Lauderdale Currents, the city's free electronic monthly newsletter. That's what I've been telling you to do tonight if you could. You'd press 7 to do that, to provide us your email address. Fort Lauderdale Currents provides information about the city programs, initiatives, and upcoming events. To be added to this electronic distribution list, that's easy for me to say, push 7 on your keypad right now so we can collect your email address. Again, push 7 on your keypad if you'd like to get the Fort Lauderdale Currents. We appreciate your participation on that. We are going to take another questioner in just a second. It's going to be Bill. Bill, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Bill, where are you from, neighborhood-wise, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Edgewood, and even though I live down south in Fort Lauderdale, I travel along US 1 past Broward Boulevard up to Sunrise and even beyond. And all the buildings, the high rises that have been going up, tells me that there's a lot more traffic that we're going to have to look forward to. And I'm wondering what the city's got planned for public transportation. The buses, I don't think, are going to do it. And trains, what trains? So what does the city have to say?
Well, thank you for your question. I think it's a good question. But Kurt, I just wanted to say one thing and add to your comment. In addition to people receiving electronic email, I also want to point out to the listeners that my office produces a monthly newsletter, which you can all receive through the internet. I'd like to give you my email address. It's D as in Dean, Trantalis, Trantalis, at fortlauderdale.gov. And if you just email me, we'll be happy to add you to our email list so that every month when our newsletter comes out, you can read about some of the things we are talking about tonight, as well as the future activities and events and progress that we're making within the city. I also add some commentary of my own, and you see a bunch of pictures of me doing various ribbon cuttings. So, but anyway, it keeps you in touch with the community, and I think it would be a good opportunity if you would email me, dtrantalis at fortlauderdale.gov, in order to add your name to the list. Now, to answer your question, our city planners have been looking into, personal habits on transportation. So the question is, do people still use cars, and will they continue to use cars as our downtown becomes a more densely populated environment? So yes, you look at the streets today: Federal Highway, Sunrise, Broward, all the arterial streets, and believe it or not, our traffic consultants tell us that they're underutilized. And I'm sure some time of the day they're much freer of traffic, but certainly during the rush hour times, I know that I've waited 2 and sometimes 3 light changes before I get through an intersection. But as we move forward into the new century, we're finding that people are depending less on cars and more on other forms of transportation. Now, obviously, there's no train running through Flagler Village, but there are opportunities for people to ride bikes and to walk. This is the purpose for adding density to a neighborhood. By adding density and creating the ability to add amenities within the neighborhood context, we encourage people to not use their cars, and ask them more to walk, to use their bikes, and to feel free to be part of an urban environment as opposed to thinking they're still living in suburbia. That is where we're headed, and that's the philosophy, and we think it'll be a successful philosophy. And as time goes on, I think that you'll see how that formula will work. And another component of this, as you know, is the WAVE project. We talked about this earlier tonight. The city is embarking upon a innovative for us at least, a light rail system that will start at the 6th Street Sistrunk area in Flagler Village and make its way down to the Broward General Hospital. And it'll have stops along the way, and hopefully people who live along the area or who work along that area will hop on and be part of the new wave, as we say it, in Fort Lauderdale, and not depend on their cars, and be able to at least enjoy the city and in alternative ways that we're providing.
Public message number 6 goes like this: join us for the free Great American Beach Party on Saturday, May 24th, from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. at A1A at Las Olas Boulevard. Event highlights will include live bands, a kids zone, classic car shows, sandcastle contest, and an art show. Get to the event stress-free by parking downtown and hopping aboard the water taxi or Anticipation Yacht. Round-trip fares from Las Olas Riverfront to the beach are only $5. Active military, seniors 65 and over, and kids under 3 are free. Boats will run from 9 in the morning until 11 at night, the day of the event. For details, visit the city website at fortlauderdale.gov. Next survey question goes like this. It's a pretty simple one. Which of the following parks and recreation services should receive the most emphasis from city leaders over the next few years? There's 4 possibilities. Here goes. Press 1 if it's for maintenance and beautification of city parks. Press 2 if it's for availability of more green space throughout the city. Press 3 if it's for a greater variety of programs for kids, or press 4 for greater variety of programs for active adults. So vote away if you would, please, on that. While you're doing that, we're going to take Dave. Dave, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Dave, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Oakland Park, and my question is, when are we going to get something done in regard to the synchronization of the traffic lights? I've heard...
Commissioner?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you know, we all suffer from traffic lights, and no matter what city you live in, whether it be Oakland Park or Fort Lauderdale, unfortunately, the city of Fort Lauderdale has no authority to act on synchronization of the traffic lights because they're all owned by the county, and it's up to the county to find methods to synchronize, whether it be through computer methods or however else they get out there to try to synchronize them. I wish the city could have a hand in that, but it's just not going to happen. We're as frustrated as you are, not just with regard to traffic lights, but many other things that occur in our city over which we have no control. Even though the county is in the process of doing the synchronization, doing the whole county takes a lot of time. We're just one portion of the county. We're the most important part, but they don't all agree with that. But we have to wait our turn, and in time, hopefully, the synchronization process will eventually be complete.
Let's do another survey question. Which of the following priorities would you rate as the most important? There are 4 of them, 4 possible answers. Press 1, being a pedestrian-friendly multi-model city. Press 1 for that. Press 2 if it's being a sustainable and resilient community. Press 3, offering fun and stimulating recreational activities. Or press 4, being a community of strong, healthy neighborhoods. Which of the following priorities would you rate as the most important? 1, pedestrian-friendly. 2, sustainable and resilient. 3, offering fun, stimulating recreational activities. 4, being a community of strong, healthy neighborhoods. While you're while you're voting, I've got one more public service announcement. Catch the last Friday night tunes of the city this week at Carter Park. LaVie will, I probably enunciated that wrong, will perform top 40 hits starting at 7, May 16th at Joseph C. Carter Park, which is located at 1450 West Sunrise Boulevard. Bring your family and friends, chairs, picnic blankets, and snacks, and relax under the stars. For more information on Friday Night Tunes, please visit the city website or call 954-828-5363. Sherry's next. Sherry, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Sherry, where are you from, neighborhood-wise, and what's your question, please? Sherry, you're up. Go ahead and ask your question, if you would, please.
Hi, I'm from Dolphin Isles, and I live on A1A, and I was just wondering if we have any update or any, I guess it's update, on Ireland's Inn property.
Thank you for your question. The last information that I received regarding the redevelopment of the Ireland's Inn property was a meeting that I was a part of a few months ago, in which the developer had indicated that they were moving forward with a plan to create the hotel and condominium complex that has been proposed for that area. It has been modified several times. Different owners, different flags that they have been thinking that were going to be associated with the hotel, and but I do understand that it is moving forward, and that there may actually even be pre-sales this December for the project that's now been contemplated. So don't lose faith. The recession did have a toll on our community. It did set us back on a number of projects, but maybe that was good, because I think that the project that's that's being proposed now is probably a better project than we've seen before. It's certainly a smaller scale than was originally proposed years back, and I think once people see the renderings, I think the people in the community, especially in Dauphin Isles, will be very happy to see the result. I also want to point out that the city is moving forward, if you haven't already seen, in doing the re-landscaping along A1A north of Sunrise and up through Oakland Park Boulevard. This was a project that has been on the books for a while and has been neglected for far too long. And you'll see some major improvements along that roadway. And I think that the residents and the visitors that live and travel in that area will see a nice welcome change to the roadway.
Thank you, sir. Another survey question. It goes like this. Where do you get most of your news and information about city programs, services, and events? There are 5 possibilities. The city website, press 1. Local newspaper, press 2. Local TV, press 3. Civic or HOA newsletters, press 4. Or the city's electronic newsletter, Fort Lauderdale Currents, is 5. So those are your possibilities. Where do you get your news from? City website, press 1. Local newspaper, 2. Local TV, press 3. Civic or HOA newsletters is 4. Or the city's electronic newsletter, Fort Lauderdale Currents, press 5. We really appreciate your participation. We have another public service announcement I need to squeeze in. Come one, come all to this year's National Kids to Park Day, a day that celebrates the importance of outdoor play across the country. This year's event will take place Saturday, May 17th at 1 p.m. at Lauderdale Manors Park, which is located at 1340 Chateau Park Drive. Highlights will include family fitness, competitions, water games at the pool, music and entertainment, a smoothie tasting, that sounds pretty good, healthy cooking, that's to offset the smoothie tasting, and more. For event details, please call 954-828-5412. Our next questioner is Jean. Jean, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Jean, what neighborhood are you from? What's your question, please?
I'm from the Seven Isles neighborhood, and I'm a little concerned about the new street lights that have been put up on Las Olas. We have enough problems with traffic without adding street lights, especially on the west direction. They're like a block apart. Are those going to be only triggered if there's a car that wants to come out those roads, or is it going to be a regular schedule? And the other thing is, not enough handicap in the downtown Las Olas area.
Okay, well, thank you for your question. I'm assuming when you talk about street lights, you're talking about traffic lights. And I think when you're talking about traffic lights, I think you're probably referring to the temporary traffic signals that are beginning to pop up along the aisles. And for those who travel along the aisles, you'll probably see all the new construction that's taking place on the bridge work. So the Florida Department of Transportation, which is the entity that is in charge of this project, the state, of course, owns Las Olas Boulevard as well as the bridges, and these traffic lights are being placed there to control the traffic flow that is going to be, affected by the fact that they're rebuilding 4 of the bridges. And so it's going to take a little time. It's going to take a lot of patience, and I know that our patience was tried this winter when the deep freeze set in the Northeast and in the Midwest, and a lot of people came to visit Fort Lauderdale. So we saw an unusually high level of interest in our community, and that's a welcome thing for many of the businesses and other merchants who rely on the tourist business. And I know a lot of the residents were not too happy because it was tough getting in and out of their streets, especially along Las Olas, and it certainly has ignited more discussions about how we're going to react and hopefully help out the traffic flow. There are a lot of discussions that are taking place now with the neighborhood associations and the Las Olas Merchants Association to see how we can best deal with the traffic flow. So it's a double-edged sword, and the city is doing its best to try to make as many people happy as possible. And but as far as those traffic lights on Las Olas are concerned, those are temporary, and they're being installed by the state. They're being done for everyone's safety. It will slow things down, but in the end, people there will be fewer accidents and hopefully save lives in the meantime.
One last call for people that want to sign up for the electronic newsletter, Fort Lauderdale Currents. Press 77 on the keypad on your phone. The last survey of the night goes like this. How often do you visit the City of Fort Lauderdale's website? There's 4 possibilities. Press 1 if it's visit the city's website at least once a day, press 1. Visit the site at least once a week, press 2. Visit the site at least once a month, press 3. You'd never visit the website, press 4. Those are your possibilities. Again, how often do you visit the website? Press 1 every day, 2 once a week, press 3 if it's once a month, or press 4. Press 4 if you do not visit the city website. We really appreciate the participation on this. We are next going to talk to... Oh, no, I got one public service announcement left, too. Fort Lauderdale Community Summer Camps are action-packed with playtime, creative expression, and friendly competition. Sports, fitness activities, and swimming will build strength, coordination, and teamwork. Arts and craft programs will allow children to think creatively and express their imagination. Many programs fill up quickly, so register now to secure a spot. For more information, call 954-828-7275. That number again, 954-828-7275. Or you can go to the website, fortlauderdale.gov/summer. Next, let's take Leslie. Leslie, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Leslie, what neighborhood are you from, and what's your question, please?
Hi, I'm from Lauderdale Isles, and my question is about all the extensive landscaping and tropical trees and just all the unbelievable trees that have been put in on 595 and along 95, and the fact that they are not getting watered and that they're dying, and it just seems like a waste of money. And I just don't understand why, if we're going to improve something for tourists, why it wouldn't be the cruise port, which is awful and disgusting and horrible.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you for calling. And, those trees really did look good when they went in. It was actually kind of nice to approach the area and see this lush landscaping as we approached the airport, and which is certainly one of the gateways to our city. As you know, that's a state and federal project, and money's coming for that project, and those that are in charge of the watering of the trees as well as the design of the area are really not, under the city's responsibility. We kind of see that happening in and around us, but we have no ability really to affect what goes on over there. As far as the port is concerned, as you may know, that's a county property. The county owns the port. There's a port authority that is responsible for it. And, just keep in mind a couple of things. We are a young city. Even though the city of Fort Lauderdale has recently celebrated its 100th birthday, the reality is Fort Lauderdale really didn't get kicking until the 70s and early 80s. And because we're still a young city, I come from a city in Connecticut that already celebrated its 350th birthday years ago. So they had a lot of time to figure out the mistakes and try to correct them. And we have a lot of opportunity here. And we're going to see, trees be planted and may not always be watered. And we're going to see streets that are widened and narrowed and bike paths added and subtracted. And we're going to see a lot of things that are going to show how we are evolving as a community. So I think that the purpose of these town hall meetings is to listen to all the people that call in and to hear what seems to be important to people. And I think that throughout the evening so far, one of the most important things that I'm hearing is the aesthetic of our community and the impact on the feeling, the quality of life, and how people want to feel comfortable when they drive down streets, when they walk their dog, when they see where we can make this the most beautiful city in South Florida. Well, we're getting there. We're doing a lot to make that happen. We're doing a lot to make our streets safer. We're doing a lot to help the homeless. As you may know, we recently passed a couple of new ordinances as part of a package of ordinances as we continue to move to try to make the quality of life, not just for the residents, but also for the homeless, a better condition for all of us in which to coexist. And I think that these are the types of things that we can work on together and try to make Fort Lauderdale a great American city. As we know, it is a great American city. We just need to let everybody else know about it. But the point is that the projects that you speak of are not within the jurisdiction of the city, and they do ask our opinions, but in the end they make the decisions. So what we can control, let us work together and make it happen.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go back to an oldie but goodie public service announcement in just a second as soon as I get it queued up. We're going to take another questioner right away. It's going to be Lindsay. Lindsay, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Lindsay, what neighborhood are you from and what's your question, please?
Victoria Park. Just a quick comment, or I know everyone's talked about the density of traffic and what's going to happen on the stretch north of Broward. I happen to think anything looks better. I've only lived here about 6 years. Anything looks better along that stretch than what it was when I was here 6 years ago. So I think some great strides are being made. My question is, when you determine the amount of units that go into the side across from where Fresh Market is on the west side of the street, I'm assuming that the parking garages are behind, from what I can tell, and all the exits and entrances will be on those side streets. So if you're heading to 95, you'll be going through the neighborhood and maybe cutting over on Andrews or one of those to get onto Broward to head to 95. And if that's the case, because you'll never know who's driving which direction when, is the flow when you try to get, let's say you turned and went east on one of those side streets to get up to Federal, how is that going to work if everyone's getting backed up? I mean, how did they make the decision when they...
Okay, let's take a crack at that, Commissioner, if you would, please.
I think I understand the question. I think what we need to realize is that if people live in the area that you're speaking of, which is called Flagler Village, those who are looking to go west, to say to 95 or down Broward Boulevard or Sunrise, would take the local streets going west. They would eventually hit Andrews Avenue or Northeast 3rd Avenue, and those are the arteries, the main arteries going north and south. So yes, the US 1 would be less impacted with traffic. Of course, if they're going to the Galleria, they're going to the beach, or they're going points east, or points north for that matter, they may end up going along the Federal Highway. And the entry points would be more likely where the traffic lights are. So there are only a couple of traffic lights on that stretch that would allow a traveler to go north and south on Federal Highway. A lot of those entry points only allow right-hand turns. So you won't see that used more often than the others. So I think that those who designed the Flagler Village Master Plan knew what they were doing. I think they did a good job, and I think that you'll see the measure of success that was put into that is once those buildings become occupied.
I've been told to remind people about the Great American Beach Party on Saturday, May 24th from 10 to 8:30 on A1A on Las Olas Boulevard. They got live bands, a kids zone, classic car show, sandcastle contest, and art show. You can get there by parking downtown and hopping aboard the water taxi or the Anticipation Yacht round trip. Fares from the riverfront to the beach are only $5. Military, seniors that are 65 and over, and kids 3 and under are free. Boats run from 9 in the morning till 11 at night. Go to the website, fortlauderdale.gov, for more information, more details. Last call, if you want to sign up for the electronic newsletter, Fort Lauderdale Currents, press 77 on the keypad on your phone and provide us your email address. Now we want to take a question while that's going on with John. John, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. John, what neighborhood are you from? What's your question, please?
Yes, hi. I'm from the Birch Park Beach area, and I know Dean has been here many times helping us with keeping us informed with what's going on the beach, and I really appreciate that, as I do appreciate this forum you all do. I think it's fantastic. My question is on the vacation rentals. I know this has been a thorn in the city side for a few years now, and a new legislation has passed that has removed time limits on the vacation rentals. So basically now there is no time limit, and you could rent a house for 4 hours and throw a party and or a day or whatever, and still the city has no recourse, no control of what's going on in residential neighborhoods. So basically a business could come in, like an event party business, and every night just throw a party in a house, and this could be in any neighborhood, residential neighborhood. And it just seems to be a conflict between what's happening in a residential neighborhood and running a resort or party event. And I don't know what the city's recourse is, fines or to regulate licensing of these businesses.
Commissioner, your thoughts?
I think the prospect of unfettered vacation rentals is troubling for everybody. I think that the legislation that sits before the governor, if he signs it, is really, it will do what you say. So the question now is, what can the city do to shore up its ability to try to curb the excesses of those who don't seem to respect the neighborhood in which they have their property? So the city does have a few arrows in its quiver. We certainly can restrict the noise. We can restrict parking. We can monitor, street activity. Prevent sidewalk parking. There are some things we can do to crimp the style of those who don't seem to understand how important it is to maintain the dignity and the quality of life that people in our neighborhoods are entitled to enjoy. Unfortunately, if someone wants to rent their home out by the day or by the week or by the month, the state legislature has co-opted our ability to interfere with that process. It seems bizarre that the state would want to do that, and it should certainly allow each municipality to make that decision for itself. But I guess we don't have that option these days, and we have to do our best to try to cope with the options we do have and limit the type of excesses that we often see. Now, keep in mind that there are a lot of vacation rentals that occur in Fort Lauderdale that many people don't even know that the houses are being rented for that purpose. So many people are very respectful, and oftentimes it allows for certain properties to be maintained without having to go into foreclosure, because people can rent out rooms or part of their house where they otherwise couldn't afford to keep them. So there's good and bad, and let's do our best to try to make sure that the bad is limited, and we expect you and others in the community to bring it to our attention if something is going on in your neighborhood, on your street, that doesn't belong there, and I appreciate that.
Let's squeeze in another quick question if we can. It's going to be from Jay. Jay, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Jay, what neighborhood are you from, and quickly, what's your question, please?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm from the Flagler Village area, and I'm living in one of the new complexes here, in fact, Flagler Village on 4th Avenue. My question has to deal with the parking situation on the street. With the new complexes opening and being constructed, there is very limited parking for guests as it is now. Many of the people that come visit park on the sidewalk, and it's kind of dangerous because you have to go out into the street to walk. What's being done about this?
We have this problem all over the city, not just in Flagler, and people are disrespectful of property owners who who own property and they're parking in front of their houses and their swales and if there is a sidewalk in front of their building or their house, they're assuming that that's a available parking space, which it's not. So the answer is, if you see that happening, if you feel that someone is parked in the wrong place, the quickest and surest response is to call our police department and call the non-emergency number, which is 954-828-5700. 954-828-5700. The police should come, and that car should be removed because it's probably parked in illegally.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Now, if you didn't have a chance to get the question in, even if you didn't press 0, you can leave us a voicemail at the end of this call, but we need your name, your phone number, and preferably your email address so we can get back to you even quicker. So leave us that voicemail with that question if you would. Commissioner, bring us to the finish line if you would, please.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening tonight. There were a lot of very good questions, a lot of very good issues that were raised, and there's still many more things that we as a commission are attempting to accomplish in the months and years ahead. And some of the things that I would hope that you would pay attention to as we finish out the year, you'll know that the city is going to continue to work on trying to address homelessness. We are going to add to the existing ordinances that have already been passed to enhance the quality of life of everyone in the community, those who live here, visit here, work here, as well as the homeless individuals. We will continue to work towards the establishment of the All Aboard Florida system through our city, and work towards a creation of the downtown station and all the development that's going to happen in and around City Hall. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to add to the WAVE streetcar system. It's going to really be a great downtown area once it all gets done. We certainly have quite a bit to do in our neighborhoods. In South Middle River, we're going to continue the paving project on 14th and 15th Streets, and we're going to hopefully continue to see the improvement along Dixie Highway and 13th Street in the next 24 to 36 months as we continue with our redevelopment plans. In Flagler Village, it's happening all over. The community garden is going to be planted this year, and we're going to hopefully see a new coffee house right next to it. So it'll be exciting to live in Flagler Village, and those that plan to live there, you're going to see a lot of new things happening. So in the months ahead, stay tuned. And like I said earlier, if you don't already receive our monthly newsletter, please contact me at dtrantalis@fortlauderdale.gov. Send us your email address. We'd be happy to add you to our list, and you can be well informed of everything that's happening here in our city. So thank you and good night.